these things when you're playing cricket this coming year, and the ones that we'll refer to throughout training and into the season, about winning the game for your team, whether you've got the ball in your hand or whether you bowl, knowing that when you walk off, you and you alone have done something to significantly impact on that game and win the game for the other 10 blokes that are around you. And at some point we've all had that feeling, all right? Equally, that feeling when you've done something that you know that you shouldn't have done, all right? And you've gone out and you've thrown your stuff and you're in there in your changing room, right? You got one and you're thinking, I'm not going to bat for another week now, or I ain't going to have a chance to bowl for another week, right? So when you get opportunities, whatever they are, take them. Don't throw them away. Don't be flippant, all right? Take those opportunities. Right? Whatever team you're in, whether it's a Sunday, whether it's a midweek, whether it's a Saturday afternoon, make sure that you don't come back in angry that you made a stupid mistake because you haven't concentrated, or you haven't been committed enough, or you're weak mentally. Okay? And then the final thing is that your position in the team is absolutely irrelevant. Right? Whether you're batting number 1, whether you're batting number 11, whether you're bowling with the new ball, whether you've got to bowl 1 over to get the numbers right, whatever it is, you've got a job to do. Whatever that job is, on that day, make sure you go and do it. That you've been selected for a reason, right? And whether you're batting in the lower order and your job's to try and scramble 6 or 7 runs at the end, or whether you're batting at the top of the order, your job's to go and bat for 50 overs. Go and do that job that you've been given to. Take some responsibility, which ultimately is a team. If everybody does that, we then get successful outcomes. Now, this is something that we're going to bring in this year, something we've never done before. Before the start of the season, all senior players are going to be issued with a player's handbook. And it's going to be a very simple document which lists what we as players at this club are going to commit to over the course of the season. And it's going to be something you can stick in your bag, stick in your car or whatever, and we're going to have them up in changing rooms here, and Tomo's going to take them down at Newton as well. So we've all got a reference point, and we're going to call them minimum standards. So as a Tamworth Cricket Club player in adults cricket, these are the things that we are all going to aspire to achieve week in, week out. And I think if we do this, boys, we're going to be very successful both on and off the pitch. All right? And the ultimate aim of these is so we win cricket matches, because that's the reason why you give up 12 hours of your Saturday for 24 weeks a year, and why some of you have been training since October, okay? Because you want to win cricket matches. So split them into 3 sections. First one is about training and preparation for games. All right? First one is about ensuring you do everything that you can to get to training sessions. And the phrase that people have used in previous years is make an excuse to get to training, not an excuse to back out. And when you get to training, right, get there as promptly as you can and participate fully. Don't stand there twiddling your thumbs for half an hour. Don't stand there having a chat. Go and train and work on whatever you need to work on. And there are people there who can facilitate that to you. You're paying members, right? You get something for your money. You're not paying just to use a field, okay? You've got the services of coaches, of nets, all right? And you've got people actually who will voluntarily help you, so utilise that, okay? And equally, you owe that to your teammates as well, because you being the best you can be affects the atmosphere around the team. If you can't make training, formal training that we do, we are going to say that as a minimum standard, you do something that week, whatever it has to be it turn up on a Monday, a Friday, right, Saturday morning, whatever you need to do to make sure you're ready for those games on a Saturday afternoon, you take responsibility and prepare yourself, okay? Because we're not all going to be able to make that training session every Wednesday, but we can all certainly do something to make sure we're ready for a weekend. And that's from 4th 11 all the way through to 1st 11. Next one's on a match day. We want to move at the club to a situation whereby what happens with the 4th 11 down at Newton mirrors every other team within the club. So when people are moving between teams, upwards or downwards, they are experiencing the same things, right? And they prepare in the same way, and that will hopefully drive up standards and make sure that on a match day we are ready to be at our best from the start. But equally, there's some standards when we're at match day, and that first one at the top is of vital importance to me. Okay, in that respect to your captains, the people who are out there voluntarily running your teams and working in the week. Now, we all have opinions on cricket, boys. I totally understand that. Okay, but ultimately, when you turn up for a match day, you must have total and utter respect for your captain and the decisions he makes. And if there are times when you disagree with them, if there are times where you do something different, if there's a time when you've got one on you, that's the time when you bottle that up and you deal with it as an adult at a time that's appropriate. That we don't shout across the pitch, that we don't throw our stuff around, that we don't have a go at captains or other players, all right? Because that's not on, gents. And I'm telling you now that I've had conversations with Mick this year when he's absolutely made it clear that if that happens on cricket pitches at Tamworth this year, he's going to seriously think whether people should be selected. They can't respect the captains and vice captains that are running those teams. Okay. That said, we've got no issues with people talking. We've all got opinions. People have played a lot of cricket, all right, and captains will quite happily sit down and listen to them, okay, and take them on board. But respect for your captains at all times is an expectation that we will all have during this year. And that goes the same for the oppositions that we play against, and certainly the match officials. At first 11 level, we show respect to match officials because, number one, if we don't, there are penalties that come as a result of that. But equally, on the other side, if you stay on the side of officials, sometimes you're on the right end of some decisions. More importantly for me, is at second 11, third 11 and fourth 11 levels, where people are voluntarily standing on a Saturday afternoon making decisions so we get to come and play cricket. And ultimately, if we don't respect them and they don't do it, we don't get a game of cricket. All right? That's easy for me to say now, all right, but equally we've all been in that position whereby we've relied on volunteers to do that, and we need to make sure that we look after that. In terms of minimum standards on a match day, we want to arrive well in time for the meet time. Disrespectful for your captains and for your teammates, whether you turn up 15, 5, 10, 20 minutes, half an hour late for a meet time. It disrupts preparations, it means you're not ready, it shows a disrespect for all the boys who are organised and ready for that day. We think that being at the ground between an hour and 15 beforehand is the amount of time that you need to prepare fully, and your captains will decide that. But that's when we will expect people to arrive before matches. And we're expecting people to be ready to warm up about 50 minutes, 45 minutes before the game. That gives you as individuals, regardless of 14 cricket or first 11 cricket, the adequate time to warm up properly and prepare yourself ready for that game. And finally, on a match day, whether we're home or away, make sure we respect the facilities that we've been given, okay, by leaving them as we find them. We're fortunate down here, and we're fortunate in Newton that we arrive with clean, tidy changing rooms. Ultimately, sometimes we don't leave them like that. Okay, and that's something that we need to get better at, and is a minimum expectation or a minimum standard this year. And finally, as club members as a whole, Mick touched on this, so I'm going to talk through this very, very quickly. As club members, get to club functions, we get to play cricket, right? And we get to enjoy these facilities because people voluntarily almost work a full-time job to get funding in so we can just turn up and have a game of cricket, do our hobby. So we need to support them. And again, I'm preaching to the converted, because the people who are asked to come here now are the ones who come to event after event after event. But keep doing that. That's what we expect you to do. But equally, maybe take the responsibility this year of dragging a couple more people along, because every little bit helps. Mick spoke about the investment that we got as a club this year. And we, as club members, as a minimum standard, make sure that all our match day donations and our subscriptions are paid on time, and you're not having to be chased for them. Okay. there is, and I'll touch on this a little bit later and I'll formalise it through an email, there is an expectation this year that to be selected for first and second 11 cricket this year, that 50%, or at least 50% of your annual subscriptions need to be paid before the start of the year. Please don't put me and Rob in a position whereby there's players that we want to pick that we can't because you haven't paid that amount. And we'll confirm that, boys, in some other correspondence. Okay? And finally, do everything you can to source sponsorship from the club. I've got down here a document that the club has put together with all of the sponsorship opportunities. That ranges from shirt sponsorships for a 2020 kit, you know that we're talking thousands, right, all the way down to match ball sponsors, okay, for £50 for Birmingham League games to £20 for Staffs Clubs League games. Right, if we as players can source little bits like that each and do one little bit each, that raises a hell of a lot of money for the club. Okay, that means actually then facilities improve and we see the benefit of the little bit of work that we've done. So I would like to, at the end, to give people one of those leaflets. I want to see if you can actively go and source something, be that parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, local businesses, anyone you know. If you can source some sort of money from them, whatever it is, then obviously that's going to benefit us and you as a club. On to sort of match day routines. What I want to happen from 4th 11 all the way up to 3rd 11 is we do the same things. And my commitment to that is that I will make sure that all 4 teams, by the start of the season, will have a full collection of kit to warm up and practice with. Right, that's both balls and training kit. And from all of those teams, we will warm up properly before a game. It won't be a case of we turn up, we stick our lights on, we walk onto the pitch and we have a go. Because for me, as cricketers, that's not good enough for you because you're better than that. It's not giving you the best chance to perform. All right? So we will warm up properly throughout the 4 teams, and that will be an expectation. Because whether I turned up for Maino or whether I turned up down here to play a first 11 game, I would expect as a player that 50 minutes before the game starts, I do a warm-up. And that means that I'm ready to play. And I would hope that you have that same expectation yourself. So as a group of captains, we will ensure that happens and we'll expect you to buy into that this year. Okay? The next one is fines. It's a jovial business that we do at the end of the game, whereby ultimately we're chucking in a couple of quid per person each week that we then put together and spend on an end of season do or whatever we as a group of players want to. My opinion is, in certainly first, second and third 11 cricket, is that something we can all do. So whether I'm playing with Tomo or with Rob or in the first 11, after the game we sit down as a group of players and we take the opportunity to look back at the game and in regards to the result, make sure we've enjoyed each other's company. And I've spoken to Tomo and I've spoken to Rob, and that's something that we're going to try and put in place, not as a formal thing, but something as a group of players that we can buy into and look at throughout the year. And then ultimately that leads to an end of year whereby we've got the whole club being able to enjoy all the money that they've put together throughout the year.